Hello, you majestic stallions and stallionettes. Today we're going to be continuing with the cracked ideas by ranking the Genshin characters by what kind of an Uber driver they'd be. Now, this is going to be a little different than the usual ranking system. It's not going to be from best to worst. It's really just going to be what kind of antics would you and someone like, I don't know, Venti get up to while driving home at 2 a.m. And with that in mind, real quick, the tiers are the perfect driver, the select few who can adapt to any situation, because honestly a good Uber driver is just knowing how to interact with the passenger and just being able to pick up those social cues, if you will, from time to time. Then we got the always wanting to talk with you kind of Uber driver, the one who gives you their life story even though you never really asked. Then we got the on the phone, so always talking, just not directly with you. Then we have the speedster for those drivers thinking they're playing that Need for Speed, that Forza kind of thing. And then finally, the directionally challenged. With those tiers in mind, let us begin. So first up we have Aether and Lumine, already put them together. So real quick, someone in the last tier list asked me to separate them. So Aether as just Aether, and let's say Lumine is the Abyss sibling. However, for the time being, I don't really have enough info on the sibling of the Abyss, so we're just gonna rank them as is. So Lumine and Aether. With that in mind, yeah. I don't think this is debatable. I feel like they would treat Uber driving as just like a commission. Yeah, okay. So someone like Timaeus calls at 2 a.m. and he's passed out drunk at the bar, and then you get the notification, you come with your car, and for dropping Timaeus off at his home, you get rewarded $20. And you can use those $20 to pull for more characters in Genshin Impact. Yes, financial independence. But yeah, with all that in mind, they'd be the perfect driver, without a doubt. Next, we got Mr. Albedo. Yeah, another perfect driver. Because the thing with Albedo is he's not shy, he's just quiet. So he could adapt to whatever kind of customer you are, I feel. So let's say if you're someone who likes to talk a lot, yeah, Albedo would make some small talk with you. But if you're the type who's just on his phone, vibing in the back, I think he'd be able to pick up on your vibe and just kind of leave you alone. That's what makes Albedo perfect. Yeah, he'd be one of the best drivers, actually. Next, we got Amber. Yeah. Okay, should I reevaluate some of these tiers? No. Bonk, you made a template. Stick with the template. Okay, so Amber is the outrider, so right off the bat, she's already a directions genius. Ooh, what if she doesn't even need her phone for Google Maps? What if she just has the layout of the city memorized, and you're just like, it's 40 West Road, and she'd be like, yeah, okay, no problem. And you're like, where's your phone? And she's like, who do you think I am? Yeah, and that's not to mention how good she is with people and picking up their vibes. Like, her and Klee is the perfect example of Amber knowing how to adjust herself depending on who she's with. So yeah, Amber would be the perfect driver. Ayaka, another perfect driver. Okay, wait. What if she's directionally challenged? Because the thing with Ayaka is she's kind of a shut-in. Not in the sense that she never leaves her house, but she's a shut-in because she's kind of like a princess who grew up in this very seclosed area, if you will. So yeah, what if she isn't really familiar with the land? So let's say someone from, I don't know, Port Rito. Yeah, they call for a ride and she's like, okay, I'm on my way. And she's 30 minutes late already. And you're like, where were you? And she's like, I'm so sorry, I got lost. Yeah, I feel like Ayaka, she'd be a really sweet driver and you wouldn't be that mad because of how wholesome and nice she is, but she would still be directionally challenged a little, I feel. Next up, we have Beto. Wait, what would Beto be? Okay, she would be the speedster. Yeah, you'd get into her car, sit down, get comfortable. You're like, sup? And she's like, sup? And then she just floors it on the gas pedal. And you're like, whoa, you can slow down. And she's like, fool. I'm trying to knock out 10 rides tonight to buy me a 6-pack on the way home. Yeah, I feel like Beta would be the type to rush quite a bit because she'd want to get as much work done as possible. So she'd be zooming down the 40. Absolutely. Barbara? Wait. Okay, Barbara would be directionally challenged. Similar to Ayaka, I feel like she would be so nice that you wouldn't mind. Like, you would get in her car, it's 3 a.m. kind of thing. I don't know what Barbara would be doing at 3 a.m. driving an Uber, but listen, you'd get in her car, you get comfortable in the back seat, you set your timer for, let's say, 5 minutes before your arrival, and then you wake up from the timer later on, and you realize you're like in the middle of nowhere. And you're like, miss, where are we? And Barbara's just crying in the front seat, and she's like, I got lost. So you'd be a little upset, but not too upset, because she'd be really nice. I don't know why I'm getting this vibe from Barbara, but we'll just leave it as is. Benny? Ooh. Okay, the thing with Benny is he's an adventurer. So adventurers do have a good layout of the land, but the thing is he's also really unlucky. Ooh, okay, with those 2 points in mind, I'm gonna put him in... I'm kind of tempted to put him in the perfect driver, because socially, he would be pretty good. He has a good sense of directions. It's just that, you know, you might end up on the 6 o'clock news. Breaking news, car causes pileup, flips over into a ditch, car explodes, 2 people dead. Like, I feel like that might happen with Bennett, but I mean, yes, you might die, but he's still the perfect driver at the end of the day. So we're gonna keep him there. Next up, we have Chung Yun. Ooh, this is tricky. I can't really associate him with anything. I think the closest thing he'd be is the perfect driver, because even though he's a little socially awkward, I think that wouldn't really bother that many people. Like, even if you're an insanely talkative passenger, I think if you notice Chung Yun trying a little bit and how much of a wholesome cinnamon bun he is, I think you'd be fine with it. Yeah, I think Chung Yun would be close to a perfect driver. Yeah. Next up, we have D-Luke. Ooh, wait. This is an interesting one. I feel like... Wait, D-Luke would be on the phone the entire ride with his 20 different businesses. Yes, okay. He would just acknowledge that you're in his car, start driving with 10 different people on the line with him. And you're just like, oh, I guess this is one of those rides. But then you realize what he's talking about, and he might be using a lot of code words. Like, he might be like, slice off the bread, which would mean to just off somebody, but you wouldn't know that. You'd be like, oh, he's talking with his family about food. Yes, okay. He would be the type to always be on the phone, I think, though. Absolutely. Diona. Oh my. Diona strikes me as a nighttime Uber driver. And the thing is, when you're driving late at night, half of the people you're gonna pick up are sloshed. They are drunk out of their minds. The second you get in Diona's car, she's not even gonna talk to you. She's just gonna smell, and she's just gonna start lecturing you. Oh, you went to the bar, didn't you, you sloppy animal? Yes, Diona's the type to talk her lip off to you, and you're just trying to sleep in the back seat, and she's here giving you life advice. Yes, she would be an absolute talker. If you're a sober person, maybe not as much, but I'm still gonna keep her there. Next, we got Fischl, absolutely a talker. Yeah, she would not stop. The thing is with Fischl, I feel like she would just talk about herself, which debatably is better than them asking you questions, but it's still kind of annoying from time to time. Ooh, what if she has Oz as a co-driver? Yeah, so Oz will be there to keep her in check at points, and you'll be lucky if she just talks with Oz for the whole ride. But other times, she'll talk to you, and you'll just be like, okay, yep, it's great. You're a Prinzessin der Verurteilung. I don't know what that is, but cool story. Yeah, she would always talk with you. Jean, ooh, I think she'd be the perfect driver. She has that very strict discipline. Wait. Scratch that right now. She would always be on the phone. Yeah, I don't know why, but Jean strikes me as a soccer mom. You know those type of people driving their kids to soccer practice? Except in her case, she's an Uber driver. And she would be on the phone all the time. And it would just be someone from the Knights being like, Jean, Klee burnt down the church again. So she would basically indirectly be babysitting Klee while Uber Uber driving. She would just be on the phone with it at the same time. Ooh, what if she brought Klee in the car? Wait, no, are Uber drivers allowed to do that? I don't think so. But she would always be on the phone. She'd be babysitting while not actually being with the baby. That's the perfect way to describe it. Hu Tao absolutely would talk you to death. Yeah, and the thing is, I feel like Hu Tao would be a pleasant conversationalist. Yeah, you would get in the Uber, you're tired after a long day of work. She's like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, oh, it's gonna be one of these rides. But as you start to gradually talk to her, you realize how kind of far out there she is. And I feel like it would be kind of an interesting experience. Like you leave the car and you're like, I just had the most cracked Uber driver ever, and I loved it. Yeah, Hu Tao would be a cool Uber driver, but she would talk her lip off, absolutely. Kashing, yeah, okay, this I thought of when I thought of the list. Kashing would be the absolute speedster god. You would get in the car, you'd be like, hello. She'd be like, yep, hi. And you're like, oh, okay, good. It looks like she doesn't talk that much. And then she puts her foot on the gas pedal and just, and you're like, you can slow down. And she's like, did you just tell me to procrastinate? And you're like, no, I didn't. And she's like, I'm trying to knock off 20 jobs tonight. Who do you think I am? Lazy? Yeah, she would be zooming down the highway, man. Absolutely. Ooh, imagine if you were drunk and you got out the car after a ride like that. Bro, you would just yak all over the ground. For sure, man. All right, so next up we have Klee. Okay. Let's use our imaginations to assume she can see over the dashboard. With that in mind, we're gonna add a new tier for Klee. I feel like she's a special sausage, if you will. Okay, this seems like a good tier for Klee to be in. I feel like if you drive with her, you'll have fun, yeah. But at the end of the day, I feel like you'll just be breaking news. Child driving car drives off cliff into Grand Canyon. Car explodes. 2 dead. What a tragedy this is, folks. Meanwhile, Gene up here is like, yes, finally I'm free. No, now Klee would be fun until, yeah. Kaeya, ooh. Okay, I think Kaeya would be very talkative depending on who you are. Like if you're an attractive looking individual, or if you look like an interesting person, he'd probably talk a whole lot. And he'd just be like, hey, how was your day, my good sir? Or my fair lady. Yeah, he seems like the flirtatious driver who just talks a lot, and it's either a hit or miss with him. Like sometimes you'll be like, ooh, I just had the most dashing Uber driver. And other times you'll be like, Jesus, can you stop? I'm trying to just get home. I want to go to bed. I don't have time for your antics, sir. It's gonna be a mix of those two, yeah. But he would talk a whole bunch. Ganyu, simple. She's the perfect Uber driver. She's similar to Chung Yun a bit in the sense that she's a little socially unaware, if you will, but it wouldn't bother many people because she's very nice. I feel like she drives at a good pace. Yeah, simple, but she would be the perfect driver. Next up, we have Lisa. She would probably talk a bunch. Ooh, actually, no, she would be the perfect driver because if she likes how you look and how you feel, winky face, she'd probably talk a lot. But if you look like you're just about to pass out, you're tired, you're hungover, something like that, she would probably just let you sleep because Lisa has a lot of that motherly energy, if you feel me. So yeah, with that in mind, she would adapt and she would be the perfect driver, yes. Next, we got Mona. Ooh, what would Mona be? Would she be the perfect driver because she's desperate for that cat? Ooh, no, she would be the speedster because she wants to get as many drives out of the way as possible. Like she wants to get 30 customers in a night because she's gonna get evicted if she doesn't pay her rent. And she's like, come on, I need that $20 for that next ride. And you'd be like, okay, please don't go too fast. And then she starts zooming and you're like, okay, this is how I die. But ironically, I feel like she would be a good driver. She'd just go way too fast. So yeah, with that in mind, a speedster. Next, we got Ning. Okay, Ning Wang would definitely be on the phone. Yeah, you'd get in her car. Bro, she wouldn't even acknowledge your existence. She would be too busy. She would have speakers all over the car for different people. And you'd just be like, what did I just just get into? And she'd be like, please, no talking, I'm on the phone. And you're like, there's 40 different phones in here. Yeah, I don't know why she would ever be an Uber driver realistically, but if she was, bro, she'd be the most busiest queen of multitasking Uber driver there is. Noelle is so wholesome. Yeah, no, Noelle would be the perfect Uber driver as well. She might talk quite a bit, I think, but if you're there and you're just like not talking back, she would probably just be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just focus on the road. Yeah, because she's really sweet. She would understand the vibe, I think. She'd just be a really good, wholesome driver, similar to Ganyu. Next, we got Yeah, nah. Chi-Chi, bro, she is the equivalent of a stoner driving a car. You don't let a stoner drive, guys. She would just be like, hey. You'd be like, hello? So, you can get going now. And she's like, yeah, let's get going. And you think she's gonna start going so slow, but bro, she puts her pedal on the metal and you're like, you can slow down. And she's like, we're fine. And then she just crashes into a tree. Yeah, now Chi-Chi, this would be these two would be a fun experience, just, you know, you'd be dead. Next up we have Razor. Ooh, okay. So he has a good layout of the land. So I feel like he'd have a good directional sense when driving. Would he be a speedster? No. Would Razor be a perfect driver? Okay, with the idea in mind that he knows how to drive. Kind of, yeah. He definitely strikes me as the type to be affected by road rage though. Like you'd be in the back seat enjoying the ride and you'd be like, oh, he doesn't talk that much. This is nice. And then someone honks at him and he'll just start hissing. He'll be like, grrr. And you're like, oh, okay, this guy's a little bit of a weirdo, isn't he? But with that in mind, I think the closest thing, ironically, would be the perfect driver. This is kind of weird, but yeah. Next, we got Sucrose over here. Ooh. Would Sucrose be a perfect driver? I don't think she would talk that much. She's a little shy. She wouldn't be on the phone. Would she be directionally No. We're gonna put Sucrose in the perfect driver because similar to Chongyun and Ganyu, she's one of those shy drivers, but it doesn't bother you because she drives nicely. Yeah, even if you're a talkative person, she can probably talk back to you. It would just be a little awkward because she's not that socially adept, but it would be a nice drive, I feel. Next, we got Tartaglia. Yeah, he would be the speedster without a doubt. Debatably, you can put him in death, but this man, he has such that Chad energy that you get in the car, you look at him, and you're like, this is about to be a bumpy ride. Because you can tell just by looking at this man how quickly this man's about to drive. And you're like, okay, maybe if I talk to him, he'll get distracted and won't drive so fast. So you start talking to him, and you're like, okay, maybe this will work. And then the light turns green, and he just floors it. And you try to talk to him, but he's so concentrated on driving as quickly as possible. Yeah, nah, he'd be the king of the speedster. He's up there with Kashing, I think, in terms of how fast he would go. Next, we got Venti. Now, guys, we're under the assumption here that he's a responsible lad and he's not drinking and driving, because never do that. That is a very bad thing to do. So under the assumption that he isn't, he would just talk a whole bunch. Absolutely. He would just recite poetry to you. You'd be like, hey, bro. He's like, how can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? And you're like, whoa, that's deep, dude. And he's like, I know. And then, yeah, I think he would just talk his mouth off about, similar to Hu Tao to an extent, about how obscure the topic is. And debatably, you might even enjoy it if you're not a conversationalist. But if you are a conversationalist, yeah, you would vibe with this man so much. But with that in mind, we'll keep him in the always wanting to talk to you tier. Yeah. So next up, we got Zheng Ling. Now, Zheng Ling is a very talkative person. Right off the bat, we don't get much of her. We got a lot of her way back when, but she was always so pep in her step, always outgoing and talking. So I think she might be a little too talkative. And I don't think she'd pick up so much on social cues because she's still really young, right? Apparently she's one of the upcoming prodigies. So she might not be wise enough to really pick up on, hey, can I just sleep in your back seat, please? Yeah, Zheng Ling herself would always talk to you, absolutely. Xiao, okay, Xiao strikes me as the speedster, absolutely. He He seems like he'd probably have a good sense of direction, actually. He's always out and about in the wilderness, which would help his resume, even though you're an Uber driver. But hey, he would be a speedster because I feel like he just wants to get straight to the point. He's like, okay, I need to drive him here, understood, and just zooms to that location. He's a very dutiful boy. So with that in mind, he would be the Need for Speed. Zheng Cho, ooh, would he be on the phone? Because he's a busy boy. Yeah, he would be on the phone with the Commerce Guild, and they're like, young master, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just doing my side hustle of driving some drunk people home. And they're like, but sir, you can have so many other jobs, which I could say about a lot of characters on this list. But yeah, he would be on the phone because he'd be busy with his other duties. So yeah, we're gonna keep him there. Jin Yan, ooh. See, she definitely strikes me as a talker or a speedster. I don't know, I feel like because the whole rock and roll music motif, that she would be a really quick driver because it just adds to her vibe of just, let's go, let's go, let's go, rock, rock, drive, drive into upcoming traffic. Oh no, we're dead. Nah, but with that in mind, I think she would just be a speedster. Debate, would she be a perfect driver? No. We're gonna keep her in the speedster. I think that's a good spot for her. Zhang Li, oh my God. See, I personally have never had a senior citizen drive me home. But with Zhang Li, bro, I can just imagine. Ooh, okay. The thing with Zhang Li is, I don't think he would really talk much until you start talking a little bit to him. If you show even the slightest bit of interest in conversation, he will just talk his mouth off. But if you don't, he would probably just let you chill in the back seat, just muttering in his mind, osmanthus wine tastes the same. Yeah, but bro, if you start talking, it's over. Your ears will be bleeding by the end of the ride. And honestly, you'll get out and you'll be like, that was so painful, but now I know where babies come from. It would be an educational experience. Rosaria, oh my God, this would be amazing. Wait, okay, I feel, what would she be? I think she might be a speedster, but I have this very weird, vivid picture in my mind where if you're drunk in her back seat and you fall asleep, bro, she just lights up a cigarette. She opens the window, she's like, good, the boy fell asleep, starts taking some puffs, holding it out the window, and she like punches you on the shoulder when you're there. She's like, hey, get out of my car. And you're like, why do my clothes smell like nicotine? And she's like, oh, I guess you're too drunk to realize the person you were with before was smoking. And you're like, oh, that must be it. She's like, yeah, now get the hell out of my car. Yeah, but she would try to speed as quickly as possible just to get you out of the way and go home and just, I don't know, have a nice cup of wine or something like that. Yes. Next up, we got Eula. Ooh, oh wait, Eula's tricky because she can go into a lot of things. She doesn't like to procrastinate, so she would be a speedster a little bit. Would she be on the phone? No. You know what? I'll put her in speedster. I think that's the thing I can see her suited for the most because she seems like the type to want to get work done efficiently and as quickly as possible. So she would drive really fast. You'd be like, you can slow down a bit. And she's like, yeah, I'll slow down when you're out of my car. Yeah, it's tricky, but that's the thing I can see her suited for the most. Yes. Yanfei, ooh, wait, no, she wouldn't be a speedster. Imagine if Yanfei sees someone speeding. She'll get out of the car as she's driving you home. She's like, sir, you are going 10 over the speed limit. And they're like, get back in your car. Who do you think you are? She's like, I'm an Uber driver right now. Yes, but with that in mind, honestly, I think she'd be the perfect Uber driver. Yeah, just taking the whole law aspect out of the equation, I think she's as close to it perfect as you can get. She would talk a lot, but I think she can read the mood enough to know when to not bother you. Yeah, she'd be a good middle ground. Next, we got Kazuha. Yup, 100%. The perfect driver. He's soothed. He seems like the type to talk only when spoken to. You know, the type of drives that it's just not awkward silence, just nice, peaceful silence. Maybe one of you's on some herbs at the present time, but the other doesn't know that. And it would just be a nice, relaxing drive. Yeah, Kazuha would be a perfect driver, 100%. Next up, we got Yoimiya. Yeah, my girl would talk like crazy. And the thing is, I would love to have a conversation with her personally, so it wouldn't bother me. But I think for certain kinds of people, she wouldn't be the ideal driver. But for me, bro, she can talk about anything she wants. I'll sit in that back back seat and listen and critique and tell her how amazing she is. I'm simping right now, can you tell? Yeah, she would be a really talkative, amazing driver. Next we got Sayu. Okay, the thing with these deaths down here is it's not even with the intention that they're small characters. It's the intention that Klee's a little insane, she would drive off a cliff. Chi-Chi's so brain dead that she would just get into an accident. Sayu would just fall asleep at the wheel. It's not that they're small, it's that they have their issues. That's my thing. Next we have Raiden. Now if road rage was a category, yeah, that would be her. But aside from that, I feel like she wouldn't even know what speed limits are. She would just go full throttle and you'd be like, we can slow down, you know? She'd be like, why? Are you critiquing my speed, mortal? Yeah, if I'm gonna associate her with something that isn't road rage, I think she would be very quick on the wheels kind of thing, yeah. Next we got Sarah. Ooh, I think Sarah would be the perfect driver because she talks just the right amount. Like she respects the speed limits to the T. Honestly, I feel like a conversation with Sarah when she's not simping over Raiden would be a really nice car conversation to have. I don't think she would disturb you either if you're just trying to sleep in the back. I feel like she would compliment you. If you call an Uber and you're drunk, she would be like, ah, thank you for taking an Uber and not drunk driving. You are a good citizen. And you in the back, you're just like, yeah, she'd be a strict, perfect driver, I think. Kokomi, ooh. Kokomi is a busy woman. I think she'd be the perfect driver. She would somehow find a way to be on the phone and still socially engage with you the perfect amount. She's kind of the perfect all-arounder. With that in mind, technically I could put her up here, but since the on the phone's looking a little empty, and she would be on the phone because she's a busy lady, yeah, we'll put her in the on the phone tier. Next we got Aloy. Ooh, again, I don't know much about Aloy. I'll just put her in the perfect driver just because she seems like she has her stuff together. And yeah, I think she'd respect speed limits and she wouldn't talk too much. Yeah, simple, perfect driver. Next we got Toma. Yeah, another perfect driver. Yeah, we're getting a lot of them, aren't we? Oh my God, I wasn't expecting this. But he's a very socially adept person. He'd know how to match your vibe when you're in the car with him. And I think you'd have just a nice experience. I feel like he can make even the most socially awkward person open up a bit in the car. Like you would just not want to talk, but he would say just a random sentence, like an icebreaker, if you will, and you would just get into it right away. But yeah, he'd be the perfect driver, 100%. Ito, ooh. Okay, it looks like the kids have some company down here. Little Arataki Ito the babysitter. Yeah, Ito strikes me as the type. Road rage, drives insanely recklessly and fast. It's just, I don't know how he got his qualification to be an Uber driver. Then again, I don't think there's many qualifications. You have a car, you have your license, perfect. But someone would flip him off on the highway as an example, and he'd be like, "What you say to me?" and just tail swipes him. And then just car piles up, everyone's fighting. He's like, "Who wants to beef with Arataki Ito?" And you're in the backseat like, "I just want to go home." And he's like, "Not now, bro. I got some stuff I gotta handle. I'll be right back to you though." Yes, Arataki Ito would likely end up dead. You'd end up dead by association. Next up we have Goro. Very simple man. I'll put him in perfect driver because I feel like he's very socially aware, so he can make conversation when he needs to and just be quiet when he needs to. Although I feel like at points he'll probably get really passionate about a topic of conversation. Like if Goro starts talking about Kokomi, something he's passionate about, you feel me? He would just go off and you'd be like, oh God, I can't get him to be quiet now. But with that in mind, I'll still put him in the perfect driver. Yeah. Okay, next we have Shinha. Okay, I feel like she would have a significant amount of road rage. She'd be so chill until she isn't. And then if someone crosses her on the road, she would be like, "So you've chosen death." And she'd be like, "Wait right here, please. I'll be right back, I promise." And you're like, "Okay." And she just comes back with a spear full of blood. And she's like, "Okay, so where do you live again?" Okay, real quick thing. I'm changing this last tier to road rage because there's not that many directionally challenged people. So I feel like this is more fitting. And with that in mind, Ayaka is gonna go in perfect driver. Barbara will also go in perfect driver. And now let's change things up. So road rage. Who else would be in road rage here? Potentially Zhao as well for road rage. And Beidou. I think these guys are the speedsters while these are the potentially harmful road ragers. yeah. This tier list is so messed up right now. I don't even care. It is what it is, guys. Next, we got Yunjin. She's perfect. She has the perfect amount of social etiquette. I feel like a lot of people would see her as the driver and want to start a conversation. And she's a very good conversationalist, so she would know how to match your energy. And she would be a nice driver. Good sense of directions, most likely. Yeah, Yunjin is a perfect driver. Next up, we have Yae Miko. Yeah, she would be the perfect teaser, and she would talk a whole bunch. Like, some people will see her and how beautiful she is, and they'll just gravitate towards a conversation. But if you're not the type to want to talk, she would force it out of you. She would tease you, make little sneaky remarks, and you'd be like, can you please stop? And she's like, haha, no. Yeah, she would talk to anybody, even if you don't want to talk back. So next up, we got Ayato. Okay, Ayato 100% strikes me as the on the phone kind of guy. He's very busy. He's the most businessman-like character we got. So I feel like he might have like a Bluetooth earbud in, but he'll still be open to conversation. Like, he'll be talking, and then he'll randomly be like, so how's your day? And you'll be like, oh, aren't you on the phone? And he's like, I am, but I can make some time for you, young man. He'd be a very sophisticated driver, and yeah, I think he'd be on the phone but still talk. He'd be a good driver though. Yeah. Yeilong. Wait, would she be a speedster or would she be on the phone? I think, yo, she's 100% the type to just not give a rat's butt about anything. So with that in mind, this is debatable. I'm gonna put her in the on the phone because of all the side hustles she has. So you'd get in the car, you'd be like, hey, she'd be like, hi. And then she'd just straight up tell you, yeah, I'm gonna be on the phone, so do you mind just not talking for the entire ride? Okay, thanks. So you just sit there all quietly like, damn, what an assertive woman. Why is she making me feel this way? But with that in mind, yeah, she'd be on the phone with Ningguang. They'd be talking, they'd be talking as they're both driving. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Next we got Shinobu. Ooh, I think Shinobu would be a perfect driver. I don't think she would quite succumb to road rage because she's really chill, right? And she deals with Ito, so she has a high tolerance of BS. But I feel like she might even become friends with some of her passengers because she's so chill, and I think she has a broad range of topics to discuss, and she'd also know how to match the vibe really well. Yeah, she'd be the nice chill driver. Next we got Heizo. He strikes me as a talkative person. Yeah, you'd get in the car, he'd be like, hey, how's it going? You'd be like, oh, not bad, you? And you just kind of get into the conversation, and I feel like you'd get to the destination without even knowing. He'd be like, oh, by the way, we're here. And you're like, yeah, so my dog, oh, we're already here? He's like, yep. And you're like, oh, I kind of wanted to talk more, but thanks for the ride, bro. I'll remember to tip you. He'll be like, yeah, you do that, bro. Take care. He'd be a chill driver, but I feel like he'd get you wrapped into conversation, even if you don't want to. Yeah, Hazel would be a Chad, though. Tagnari, ooh, he would be the... Why do I feel like Tagnari would get road rage? Yeah, he would just start honking at everyone, screaming, you lummox! And you in the back seat, it's okay, bro. We can just kind of wait in the traffic. I'm not in a rush. He's like, did I ask for your opinion? I'm in the rush. I need to pick up Klee from school in 30 minutes. Anyway, he might get some road rage, I feel. Yeah. Klee? Ooh, would Klee be a... I think she'd be a perfect driver. Yeah, because she's very nice. She's a little socially awkward like her bestie Sucrose over here. But they're so wholesome that you, even if you're talkative, you wouldn't mind because it's a nice quiet that isn't awkward. It's just wholesome. You get to the destination, you say thanks. They're like, no problem, have a good day. Yeah, it would just be a wholesome experience, and you wouldn't mind that she's quiet. Yeah. Next we got Dory. Wait, this is such a weird one. I think she would try to sell you things as she was driving. You'd get in the back seat, you notice a bunch of weird things like knickknacks in her car. You're like, oh, so I guess she wants to start a conversation. So what's this you got here? And she's like, oh, it's a skull from an ancient island. And you're like, oh. And then she's like, it can be yours for the low price of $4.99. Yo, Dory trying to sell things as she's driving. Oh my God, wait, that's perfect. Yes. And then I feel like sometimes it would be just the most wackiest stuff that you're even tempted to actually buy it. So she might even be successful. She would be the richest Uber driver and the most talkative one too. Yeah. Nilu, the perfect driver. Yeah. She's wholesome, caring. She would lighten up your day. You would just miss your bus, right? And then you'd have to call an Uber. And then it's someone like Nilu who comes to get you. And you get in the car and you're like, oh, she looks nice. And then she starts talking. And then you're like, this girl is an angel. And then you're like, thank you so much. I'm gonna tip you so well. And then she's like, please, I don't do it for the tips. I do it for the smiles on people's faces. And then you just collapse of a heart attack. Yeah, she'd be the perfect driver. Absolutely. Next up, we got Sino. Ooh, Sino's a tricky one. Wait, would he be a road rager or a speedster? I'm gonna put him in road rage. Yeah, because he's a very, how you say, he's a bit of an angry boy at points. And I feel like he's very righteous. Like if it says you need to be at your destination by 10:50 p.m., he is getting you there by 10:50 p.m. And if there's traffic, bro, he would be like, I am not failing my mission. Get out of my way. He doesn't talk like that, but you know what I'm saying, right? With that in mind, he would get very angry. But you would be happy because he's doing his best to uphold his agreement per the Uber standards. Next, we got Candace. I think she would be on the phone trying to govern her village as she's Uber driving. Like, the village would lack sufficient funding, so she would go to the main city of Sumeru and become an Uber driver. Why am I creating a whole story for this? Okay, so then she would have her headset on and she would have people from her village asking her questions about what to do in certain situations. And then she would just be like, okay, so do this and that. And as she's driving, yeah, she'd be just kind of the perfect multitasker at the end of the day. So yeah, we'll put her in on the phone. I think that's a good spot. Next up, we got Nahida, assuming she can see over the dash, right? She'd be the perfect driver. Absolutely. I think anyone would see Nahida driving and would just feel inclined to have a conversation because of how wholesome and how nice of an aura you'd get when you get in the car. Yeah, I think this would be a nice ride, and even the most socially awkward person would like to talk with her. And she's kind of an upholder of the law, so I think she would go a really nice speed. Yeah, it'd be a good drive with Nahida. Next, we got Lila. So she's similar to Sayu in the sense that she might fall asleep at the wheel, and I feel like she would just get the job of an Uber driver just to pay for her schooling. Yeah, this hits too close to home. Wait, no. So she'd get that job. She would study for 5 hours after school. It's 11 p.m. She goes to do her Uber job. She gets behind the wheel, picks someone up. They're like, are you okay, miss? You look a little tired. She's like, yeah, I'm fine. You're like, okay. I mean, you're the professional here. I'll just let you take the wheel. And then you're on the 40. She starts going really fast and you're like, miss, you can slow down a bit. And you look at her and she's just like, yeah, she'd fall asleep at the wheel. She's too abused by her education system, man. Scaramouche, bro, there would be fires on the highway. People would think it's the apocalypse. You would just look from an overpass onto a highway and just see carnage. And you just see one man standing in the middle of it all. And he's like, it's your fault. All I wanted to do was bring, hey, what's your name again? He's like on the floor. My name's Nate. All I wanted to do was bring Nate home, but you had to honk at me. And he would just blame everyone else, but nah, my wholesome cinnamon bun boy would be a road rage kind of guy. Yes. Next up, we have Faruzan, and I feel like she's the type to always want to talk to. Yeah. So you can get in her car, like drunk at 2 a.m. and she starts talking to you about some obscure knowledge stuff. And you're like, miss, please, it's 2 a.m. I just want to go home. And then she's like, I can tell by your demeanor that you're drunk and are having a very messy life, aren't you? And you're just like, yes. And then she's like, let me tell you how you can fix that. And she just educates you for the entire ride. And you get out of the car later when she drops you off. And then she's like, so where are you going tomorrow? And then you're like, law school, miss. She's like, good student. Okay, bye. Yes, okay. It would be really wholesome, actually. But she would talk constantly. And I think she would be a good driver. But yeah. Alhaitham? Ooh, where would Alhaitham go? Alhaitham seems like he might be on the phone because he doesn't care. Wait. This is canon. This is 100% canon. Okay, so both of these guys, Alhaitham and Kaeya, would have this Uber job as a side hustle to pay rent. And they're both trying to see who can get the most customers in one night, like the most rides. So they have the Bluetooth headset, both of them. And then Alhaitham's like, so Kaeya, how many rides you do so far? And then Kaeya's like, I'm doing pretty good tonight. I just did my 11th. And then Alhaitham's like, I'm on my 13th. And then Kaeya's like, God damn it, every time. Yes, okay, this has to be canon. They're Uber driver buddies, like bestie, roommates, rivals. Oh my God, yes. He's not a scholar. He's not an architect. They're Uber drivers. This is official now. Next we got Yao. Yeah, I mean, if she can see over the dash, the perfect driver, barred by none. You get in the car, you can be the most socially awkward person. You see the pheromones of wholesomeness that she radiates, and you're just like, hello. She's like, hi, mister or madam. And she would just drive you home really nice. And even if she's a little late, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, miss, I'm gonna tip you $20, I promise. And she's like, I only do it to see the smile on your face. And then you just get diabetes. Oh, that's really cute. I like that. Okay. Now we got Dea. Dea strikes me as the type. Would she get road rage? No. Dea would be the perfect driver because she has a very good control, I think, of her anger. And I don't think she'd ever get pissed, especially if she's working, because Uber is like, it's her job, right? And I feel like she might have a lot of cool stories to tell the people, like her passengers. So you'd get in there, you'd talk a bit, and then she'd start talking about some cool stuff. And you'd be like, whoa, that's sick. And even if you're like tired and it's been a long night and you're drinking, you get in the car, you just want to sleep, I think she'd look at you and just be like, long night, eh, man? And you're like, yeah. Yo, Dea would be a Chad. She'd be the chaddest Uber driver. Mika, ooh, Mika's an interesting one. He's very socially awkward. I'll put him in the perfect driver. I don't know enough about the kid, like I said in the last tier list, but he just seems a little socially awkward. He has a good layout. He has a good layout of the land, so he'd be good with directions. Yeah, okay, he'll be the perfect driver. I don't know much, but we'll keep him there. I think he can hold a conversation to an extent. He had a conversation with Tagnari, and it was kind of cool, actually. But yeah, next we got Monsieur Baizu, the snake man. He definitely gives me stoner vibes. Would he smoke while driving? No, because he seems like a very professional individual. I'll put him in the perfect driver because he seems very swell and adaptable to conversation. Again, we don't know enough about him, but just from the vibe I'm getting, like you'd see the snake around his neck, you'd be like, is that thing trained? He'd be like, oh, she doesn't bite. And she'd be like, want me to suck on your toes? Wait, no, cut that out. I'm not cutting that out. All right, guys, so this is the Uber driver tier list. This is the messiest tier list I've done by far. I'm not gonna put them in any respective order because it's debatable. Like, I'm not gonna say Dea's a better driver than Albedo because it's subjective on what the passenger feels, right? So with all that in mind, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and have a jolly old day.
Thanks for watching. Please sub. Bye.